天了，我的亲人，我不知道我亲人在哪里。都12天了，我的儿子在哪？你们这为什么不给我？
Well, you know, they gave her answers. Get a load of this. Don't they give you an option on your phone? You can either call or text the number. I ask because Malaysian authorities apparently dispense with the talking to victims' families, like that lady, and instead texted them, opted to text them that those families, all of their loved ones were gone, dead, kaput, sunk, buried at sea. Now see that, you move on. Forget about whether they ever find this plane for now. Focus on an insensitive and incompetent Malaysian government about handling those missing on this plane. Marketing expert Bruce Turkel says they couldn't make any bigger mistake. I couldn't believe this when I heard that they texted this. I mean, it's not as if you had 1,000 families to reach out to. Big faux pas. But again, you're the expert, I'm not. What do you think?
I think it's shocking. It's truly appalling. There's times for high tech and there's times for high touch. And it couldn't be clearer, Neil. You don't text tragedy. What they showed is they don't care. What they showed is they did as little as possible. I find it stunning.
You know, Bruce, the argument for doing it the way they did is Malaysian authorities said, we already made it clear in our press conferences that we think there's very, very little hope we're going to find survivors. That was from the very beginning. Then they said, in follow-up press conferences, we were saying it's clear to us that that plane is somewhere in an ocean. They only updated to say, we think the Indian Ocean. So none of this was worthy, they would argue, paraphrasing here, of a Fox News alert or a Fox Business alert. Move on. What's the big deal? What do you say?
Well, I don't agree with that at all. Every bit of this is worthy for a number of reasons. First of all, just simple humanity. Is this about being transactional or about being relational? Of course, it should have been relational. Every little bit of news to people who are holding on, hoping against hope that their families are still around, that alone is just hard to imagine. But then think about the fact that with nature abhorring a vacuum, with there really being no news, the whole world is watching everything they do. And brands, let's face it, actually find their strength and their real true value in tragedy. What do they say? The steel is hardened in the flames. So they had an opportunity here, certainly not to bring anybody back, but to demonstrate that they care, that it matters, that this is important. And by the way, that's if we even leave out the whole cultural issue that Chinese citizens are considered second-rate in Malaysia. So you already have people who are feeling uncomfortable, not liking the way things are happening. Why would they do something so callous?
You know, I'm wondering if it's just stupidity, Bruce. And by that, I mean they're stupid. They just didn't see that there was an emotional connection to this. They resented the fact that so many governments were and are involved in finding this plane, in finding these victims, and finding out what happened. And it was almost, to me at least, that they were bothered by the responsibility of having to explain this to the world. It was like they wanted to toss this into the Australians' lap, the Chinese lap, the Americans' lap, anyone's lap but their own. And they wanted to wash their hands of it.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It's the ultimate presumption of arrogance. We believe we're doing everything. You should expect that we're doing anything. And what right do you have to ask us to do any more? But again, when you're a loved one wondering where your family member is, when it's possible and probably very likely that you're never going to see them again, is anything too much to do to demonstrate that you care and that it matters?
It's amazing. Bruce, thank you very, very much. Memory serves me right. I don't think we texted or emailed the victims' families of 9/11 that their loved ones were gone. Amazing. Anyway.